Hi, I'm Captain Jarvis. Right now I'm running the charter boat Phoenix for a friend of mine, Captain Scott Robson. But when I'm not doing my captain duties, I'm also the mayor of the city of Destin. So we're going to give you a little tour of the boat and show you a little bit about the charter fishing industry. This is a typical charter boat. It's 52 foot long. This is the business end of it. This is where people come here and fish. Right here we have the live well. This is where we keep our live bait. And the rule of thumb in charter fishing is without live bait, you need to stay at the dock. It's a key ingredient that it takes to catch fish. After we catch the fish are kept on ice in a big fish box. Usually it's filled with ice, and at the end of every stop, my mate Justin will dig the ice out, lay the fish in there, and put layers of ice in between the fish so it stays real nice. We have a drink box for everybody that comes. They can put their food and their drinks in it, and then there's some other storage on the boat. But this is where the fishing takes place. Now, when we're not fishing, we're moving or traveling to go out to the fishing grounds or come back, then we got the inside. The great thing about the charter boat Phoenix is it's fully air conditioned, and as you can see, you're not really roughing it. You got TV, stereo, music. We got a bait freezer, storage for our fishing tackle, plenty of places to sleep or lay down. And then downstairs we have our restroom. That's not that important, but you even have bunks and berthing areas. This is where we keep all our fishing poles and fishing rods. But if people want to come down here, it's air conditioned. They can lay down. They have bunks. And on a few trips a year, we do overnight trips out to catch tunas and blue marlins. And we usually go for 2 and sometimes 3 days. So this, of course, is where everybody sleeps during the evenings. Here we have is all my controls. Here's my gear levers, throttles. I have an electronic instrument package for the engines. They're electronically controlled. We have a radar. And what the radar does is it shows everything that's on top of the water. It also will show weather, thunderstorms, cloud cover, rain, stuff like that. This particular, the radar right now is on 1 mile range, which shows, I'll put on half-mile range. And you can see Norego Point, which is right here off my bow on the radar. Got an autopilot, so I don't have to steer the whole way. Here's some of our navigational devices. This is a GPS chart plotter. It shows where the boat is located spatially, no matter where we're at. Over here to the right of the chart plotter is the bottom machine, or fathometer. And what that does is that basically is a sonar, operates on sonar principles, shows me the bottom, and when there's structure or fish up in the water column, that's how we find the fish. Usually we like to just catch a few fish off of each place. It's kind of like fish farming. You don't want to harvest all the fish off of one place because it takes usually a year or longer for them to recongregate on some of these fishing reefs. So you just want to pick a few nice fish off of each one, then move to another one. And you know, I have hundreds of fishing spots, and so if I do that every single day, I can fish virtually an entire season without harming the overall amount of fish on a wreck. So fish are kind of like people. If you go to a restaurant and there's nobody in that restaurant, you're a little hesitant to go into the restaurant. You start wondering, well, maybe the food's not good, or I don't know why they're not busy. Well, fishing reefs the same way. Fish like fish to congregate, just kind of like people to congregate. So you never want to take all the fish off a fishing reef, because then it's like you have to start all over, and it takes a while before they'll recongregate on a fishing reef. First tool you need to go charter fishing is a boat. That's the most important one, because that's our platform to get the people and the captain and the mate out to the fishing reefs. Having coordinates to go to places to catch fish, my Lorian book, is very important for me. You got to have fishing poles, you got to have hooks, you got to have sinkers, You definitely got to have fishing poles. And for us, because I have to drive up here, it's really important that I have a deckhand or a first mate that actually will help the people fish. He'll teach them how to fish, and then all we do is we communicate back and forth to each other what type of fish we're going to do, or what kind of fish that we may catch at the next stop. And so he'll change the equipment for the different types of fishing. Also, another thing that we always have to have is bait. And we catch some live bait every morning, but we also bring some frozen bait. We thaw it out and cut it up. We use bait like squid and cigar minnows. Sometimes we'll actually take bonitas, which is a fish that we catch while we're trolling. We'll freeze them, and then we'll fillet them, and we'll cut them up in little pieces and use them. After we catch the fish, there's two places they can go. If they're not big enough or they're not in season, we put them back in the water and they swim off to be happy, and maybe we'll catch them on another day. The fish that we're allowed to keep or that are big enough to keep, what we do is we have what we call the fish box, and it's full of ice, and we put the fish in the fish box on ice so they don't spoil. And then when we get back to the dock, my mate will clean all the fish, fillet them all, we put them in bags, we ice them down again into people's coolers, and they take them home to eat. That's what makes Destin so special, is all the different kinds of fish that we can catch out of this one port. In other areas of the Gulf of Mexico, they don't have the variety that we have. We can bottom fish for snapper and triggerfish and grouper. We can troll for what they call pelagic fish inshore, king mackerel, cobia, bonita. But what makes Destin really special is we have deep water relatively close to our shores. You can go off 35 to 50 miles and be in a couple thousand feet of water. And that's where we do our fishing. We'll troll for yellowfin tuna, blue marlin, white marlin, sailfish, wahoo, dolphin. So in one place, one fleet, one port out of Destin, you can catch virtually every fish that swims in the Gulf of Mexico right here. So that's what makes fishing out of Destin fun. My favorite fish to catch is probably between a blue marlin, because they get up to 1,000 pounds and it's pretty exciting to catch 1,000-pound fish, or swordfish. I just think swordfish, we drift for them at night, or we deep drop for them in the middle of the daytime. They weigh 300, 400, 500 pounds. They're good to eat, actually, and they're real prehistoric fish. The swordfish have been in the waters of the oceans across the world for thousands of years, and with relatively unchanged, and they intrigue me. So I'd have to say swordfish with blue marlin's a close second. The biggest fish I've caught was 828-pound blue marlin in 2001 during the Pensacola International Billfish Tournament. We set the record for the largest blue marlin ever caught in that tournament, and 19 years later, it's still the largest blue marlin ever caught in that tournament.